Good morning, everyone. Good morning. While the musicians are coming around and getting in place, I would like to tell you a little story about why I wrote this song that I'm going to play for you. A friend of mine, Jennifer Day, she left the world, made her transition March 29th. Very great person. Always bubbly, always happy, delightful to be around. And she introduced Liz and I together. And then was the first performance where I hired Liz to come play drums, and she was one of the few people in the club at that time, and her face was so excited and loving. I knew she liked the sound that we had gotten together here. So we had our celebration of life a couple weekends ago, and there was a guitar at the memorial, and I thought, I should play this song on this guitar, but I wasn't sure if there was strings on it or anything. So I did, I decided to go get my own, and I played the song. And then afterwards, her nephew, he said to me, "Would you like Jennifer's guitar?" And I just was so overwhelmed with that gift. And I know Jennifer's still around because she really helped write this song. I wrote it 2 times. The first one was a little bit slower, but this one's a little bit more energetic, just like Jennifer.
Tonight, follow the rain, go on. Black as coal, a song in the soul beckons in the dawn. Sisters, say, show me the way, light up your red flowing hair. Sisters, say, exits the stage divine. She isn't there. Time stands still there on the hill, surrender to what must be. The night bird calls over the wall, Sister says, turning the page to find she is
Wow. Yeah.
Good stuff. How do you follow that, Rev D?
I know. Isn't that a something? And I know some of you knew Jennifer. But I think it's really awesome that we're talking about what we're talking about, because Jennifer was one of the most compassionate people that I knew in the world. Would do anything for anyone. So, you know, when Jill told me about getting the guitar, I thought that was what she would have wanted you to have, right? You know? So we've focused on this for 2 weeks now, about what that really means. What is the golden rule? And no matter whether you liked the Christianity version or the Janus, Jane, you didn't know you had a whole world of... Someone asked me, they said, what is Janus religion? I said, it's Jane. Jainism. Jainism. They all say really the same thing. That I have to love me first. Now, it's not in there. But if I treat other people the way I want to be treated, do you not want to be treated with love and peace and compassion? So where that starts is, am I doing it to myself? Hence why we did the meditation the way we did this morning. And I hope that that touched some things inside you. That you would literally hold yourself like a newborn baby child. Because if you remember the original version of compassion from the Hebrew, basically means the womb, that I am treating others like a mother would treat her unborn baby in the womb. So I ask you to ask yourself, do you treat yourself in the same way as you would be kind and considerate and compassionate to a newborn baby? Just think about that for a minute. Because believe it or not, you're getting ready to take a test. You're like, oh dear God. So while I'm finishing up what I'm talking about, Missy and Sharon are going to hand the test out to you. It's not hard. It's not anything you don't know how to answer. It may be something you don't necessarily want to answer. Know that you don't have to share your answers with anyone but yourself. But sometimes that's the hardest person to share them with. Because remember, compassion is a big thing. That I'm going to be loving and kind and generous and sweet to everyone and everybody. And again, that has to start with me. So, you may want a pencil, you may not. This is pretty simple. It's yes or no. But I'm just going to read these one at a time out loud so that our auditory people can hear these. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the answers and what you might have there. The first one says, when I fail at something important to me, I become consumed by feelings of inadequacy. It's just a yes or a no. It's not a maybe sometimes, maybe not. Whatever comes up for you first, yes or no. Number 2, I try to be understanding and patient towards those aspects of personality that I don't like. Let me say that you are not alive in this world if there are not sometimes things that come out of you and your personality that you don't like. It may be only with certain lovely people that get to experience that. Number 3 is when something painful happens, I try to take a balanced view of the situation. It's kind of like when I was doing the prayer this morning, because I don't know where everybody is consciously around that incident. Some of you may have walked in here this morning and you didn't even know what had happened. Some of us that have our iPhones, it's been plastered all over the front of the iPhones all morning. But it's like, can I hold my space of peace and love for myself when something that huge happens? Or does it pull me off center? Does that make sense? Number 4, when I'm feeling down, I tend to feel like most other people are probably happier than me. That means I'm having a pity party. And I invite a bunch of friends over and we have a pity party together. Number 5, I try to see my failings as part of the human condition. I was like, it's just feedback. This didn't work. This did work. I got some feedback from it. I keep moving forward. Number 6, we're taking a test, Tara, so if you didn't get one, you're lucky. When I'm going through a very hard time, I give myself the caring and tenderness I need. That song that we heard during meditation. I'm easy with myself. Number 7, when something upsets me, I try to keep my emotions in balance. What that really means is, it's not that you can't feel emotions, but that you're not somebody that runs off to the other end, and this is the most terrible thing that's ever happened to anybody in the whole world. If you're a therapist, it's kind of a histrionic personality. Number 8, when I fail at something that's important to me, I tend to feel alone in my failure. No one else has ever been so stupid. I say that out loud because I used to have that affliction. Nobody else has ever been this dumb. And everybody else thinks I'm dumb. Number 9, when I'm feeling down, I tend to obsess and fixate on everything that's wrong. Because sometimes when we're in those lower level vibrations, that's what we pay attention to. Number 10, when I feel inadequate in some way, I try to remind myself that feelings of inadequacy are shared by most people. It's a human condition. It's something that all of us at times go, you know, I can have a long, in-depth conversation with you about me and mathematics. And that is not my thing. So I could sit around and feel sorry for myself and go, I'm inadequate in math, or I could just go, you know, I let somebody else do it. Like Judy and our accountant and people that do that rather well, and I don't have to sit around and feel inadequate. Number 11, I'm disapproving and judgmental about my own flaws and inadequacies. Number 12, I'm intolerant and impatient towards those aspects of my personality I don't like. So the deal, it says, if you answered yes to 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, and 10, you're doing really well as far as showing yourself compassion. So give yourself a big pat on the back that you are being compassionate to yourself. It does not necessarily mean that you don't have some work, because then there's the flip side. If you answered yes to 1, 4, 8, 9, 11, and 12, or any of those, it might mean you want to look at that aspect, because there's something there that rings your chimes. And I'm not allowing myself to be held like a newborn baby child. I expect something higher of myself. How many of you have ever expected yourself to be better than you were in a situation? Yeah. And then you just beat up on yourself and beat up on yourself and beat up on yourself, and no one else has to say a word. Right? Because I loved what Bee was reading this morning in the Daily Word by the Dalai Lama. I don't have to sometimes find an other to be an adversary to me. I can do it quite well for myself. Thank you very much. Right? So, how do we move beyond this? With a quote at the bottom. If you don't love yourself, you cannot love others. It took me many, many years to really go, duh. Because I thought, growing up, that I was much better at loving other people than I loved myself. Anybody ever thought that before? Wrong. Because the bottom line is, start asking those people. That's a scary thing. Because if they're honest, they're going to go, well, the answer's no. Because if I don't love me, I cannot love another human being. You will not be able to love others. Wow, that's a strong statement for the Dalai Lama to say, isn't it? And he's a very compassionate person. If you have no compassion for yourself, then you are not able of developing compassion for others. Wow. I don't know how that feels for you, but it's like, oh Lord. Then I have some work to do. That's why we took this little test this morning. That's what I just read to you. Anybody in here seen the Dalai Lama in person? I know some of you have. He is the most amazing individual that I have ever seen speak or be in anybody's presence. I mean, Lord mercy. And I expected when I went to him, I went to Emory University to see him, and Judy and I were there, and I expected him to like levitate across the room and just be holy. He didn't even walk in his Tibetan garb. He walked in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt and a ball cap turned backwards. And he sat with a group of men on the stage, and he sat Indian style, like Bee sits all the time, in his chair, and he laughed almost the whole time everything was being talked about. And people would ask him extremely huge philosophical conversations about something that they thought was really important. And you know, that was, you see Eric's face? That was what he looked like. It's like, huh. And every time he would talk about loving yourself, being compassionate to other people. That was his answer to any of the huge world philosophical questions that were going on at the time. And I don't even know what year that was and what might have been going on. And I thought when I left, you know, there obviously is something in that, because he's extremely happy. Because he laughed constantly. Even when they would talk about stuff that you would think, that was probably inappropriate to laugh about, he was just laughing. And like that. He was. And I was like, this is just really bizarre. And I had to think about it all the way home. I was like, you know, was that okay to laugh about that? Because I really realized after I got home and processed it, he knew it wasn't real anyway. And that's hard to say on the heels of what just happened and what some of us are feeling about what went on in Orlando. But we are more than this right here. Do you realize that? And sometimes we get caught up on this thing that we think is so real here, this body. And we get so caught up about how we feel about it and how we feel about having Jill in our life. And if something happens to Jill, we think we can't ever go on. And I know that sounds harsh this morning in this conversation. But compassion to yourself is to know that you are much more than what you even begin to think that you are. And that there is not something horrible that happens to us. We don't go down the garbage chute when we leave these bodies. Thank you for laughing, Grace. Because the next place is exciting. It's a place, a different dimension than what we experience right here, and it's exciting. And we've been told that, whether or not you want to say it's heaven, or you want to call it a city of light, or you want to know that you're going back to the light, or you're going back to the vibration of love, that's exciting. You know, the scriptures actually say there will be no more tears. I believe that. What I believe happens when we leave these physical bodies is all of those vibrations that are below those top 7, I don't believe anybody feels them anymore. It's like, why would you? I'm back at the light and the love. We came here to play in this weird world that we call Earth and experience all this stuff. So when you're in the middle of all that deep, dark depression, I called it duty depression, just know you came here to do that. Isn't that interesting? Because you wanted to experience the whole enchilada. You wanted to feel it all. You wanted to feel all the highs and all the lows and all the things in between. And so can you be compassionate with yourself when you're having this experience? There's the deal. Can you, when you're having those lows that we all have, hold yourself like a newborn baby child? And know that it's okay. And that it came to pass. We talked about this last week. Actually, some of us were in a peace circle yesterday with the Church of the Living Waters, and we talked about this a little bit because we were talking about relationships and conflict in relationships. You all don't know anything about that, right? Nothing. And we talked about depending on where you are in a certain emotional thing will depend on how you react. If you're stuck down here at this reptilian brain, you're going to act very different than you would if you are rising up in consciousness and thinking about it differently. So do you know which one of these F's you do? I left that 4th F out because I didn't want to put that one in here this morning. Are you a fighter? When some kind of issue comes up and you want to push against it or debate it, oh Lord. Because if you are a fighter, then what you are going to be dealing with yourself is self-criticism. Just think about that. Because what I put out there comes back to me. Now let's talk a minute about the law of attraction. Yes, I can fight with Pat and Pat can fight with me, but the biggest deal I have later is if I fight with Pat, then 2 hours later I'm fighting with myself about fighting with Pat. You get that? Yeah. Self-criticism. Yep. I think we all could go, because that's what we do. Or are you someone who flees? I've done that before. Any fleers in here? Fly away. Fly away! Yep. Yep. So if I fly away, guess what I find? I'm all alone. By myself. And so the thing that I have to begin to deal with is isolating myself. That's an interesting thing to even talk about in ministry because we have people doing it all the time. People get their feelings hurt by many different things, and then they run away and they hunker down. And they won't talk to anybody. They won't let anybody come see them. They won't come see anybody else. And then they just swirl in all of that stuff. Self-isolation. Now sometimes we have to get by ourselves to get clear. But if you've been in a cave for the last 20 years, you're probably knowing that you need to come out. Right? Yeah. How many of you freeze ever in a situation where you don't know what to do at all? Or you might know what to do, but you don't want to do it because somebody will think you're not nice. So I just won't say a word. You have an issue with being self-absorbed. Now, I know you're thinking, well, Denise says, I'm having an ego problem. Well, sort of, kind of. Because when I freeze, guess what happens to my mind? If I could freeze in the moment and not self-flagellate inside my mind, you know what I'm talking about? Because we all do that. And we try to figure out, well, I said this, I shouldn't have said that, oh, they don't like me anymore, and all of those weird things that go through our minds. So how do we fix this? How do we become compassionate if we're in the middle of that? If you are a fighter and you become self-critical, what does it say you need? How do you give that to yourself? And I can't tell you how to do that. You have to know that for yourself. How do you show yourself you love yourself? You can do it in many ways. Love yourself. Sometimes I buy flowers for myself. Take yourself and get a massage. Go on a walk, play with your puppy dogs. I don't know. But do something for yourself. So if you're a fleer, this is going to feel worse than the first one. Because if you're a fleer, you definitely don't want to do this. You see what I'm saying? Because if you're one of those people that runs away, what you need to be compassionate is find a group of people that you can feel okay with. Oh dear God. Because that's what I just left. I don't want to be with those old people. Right? Share it. And so what I need for compassion for myself is find someone or two. You know, the golden number is 5 people that are supportive of you. But find at least one person that can love you and you can be comfortable with that person. Everybody breathe. Because I know we have some fleers in here, and that doesn't feel good. You don't want people when you flee away, but that's exactly what your heart is wanting. Because when you flee away, you're thinking, nobody loves me, everybody hates me, I'm going to eat some worms. Anybody remember that little thing? Big, fat, juicy ones, long, green, slimy ones. I'm going to eat some worms. I memorized that when I was little because my mother made me memorize it because I was a fleer. Yes. Freeze. If you're a freezer, what do you need? Because what is happening is that you're stuck up here in all of this stuff. And you're trying to figure it out, you're trying to figure it out, you're trying to figure it out. Instead of going, mirror. Because I know my sister and I do that sometimes. I do. It's like I freeze and then I go, I'm stuck for days sometime. Anybody else like that? For days, stuck in this, and then all of a sudden I go, Lord, mercy. I don't have to do this. I can be compassionate with myself and not be stirring back and forth with all of this. This above all, to your own self be true. Be your own closest friend and be gentle to you. Can you love yourself so much that you know you're your own best friend? Some of you are not breathing at all. And the reason that is because you beat yourself up so much, you're like, who would want to be friends with that? So there's your work. Some of you are going, why are we doing all this today? Because if we really want to be peaceful people and we really want to be compassionate to other people, this is the piece that's missing. Love God and love your neighbor as who? As who? Did you hear Jane? She actually went, myself. There was a reason that this was important. And quite interestingly, Jesus, the master teacher, told those Pharisees that thought they had it all together. You ever known somebody that thinks they have it all together? It's like all of those professors and people that came to Emory University that day and thought they were going to stump the Dalai Lama. That's kind of a bizarre thing in itself, isn't it? Well, how do you feel about the blah, blah, blah? He would just go, hee! I was like, how cool is that? He doesn't care about it at all. That's pretty neat. What if we could get to that place where our nose was not all the way out in somebody else's hula hoop all the time? You know what I mean? That's what I used to say to kindergartners and first graders. When they would come and say, she was mean to me, I would say, stay in your own hula hoop. Get out of her hula hoop. It works with all of us. Stay out of other people's hula hoops. It's none of our business. At all. It's not. Because then that's when I start feeling bad. So what is self-compassion and self-love? Well, for all of us, it may look a little bit differently, but first thing you have to do is listen to that inner voice inside of you. What is it telling you that you need? Sometimes my inner voice just screams, you need some time by yourself. Anybody else scream that? And if I pay attention to that, I am much more compassionate to me and everybody else around me. If I don't pay attention to that, you all don't want to be around me. I don't want to be around me either. And reframe what's going on with you through an intention. B gave us an intention this morning that came from the Dalai Lama that I want to reread for you for a second. Begin today by incorporating an intention-setting practice which need only take 1 or 2 minutes. Quietly affirm, I will make this day meaningful. Say that with me. I will make this day meaningful. Now that can mean so many different things to all of us. It may be going to your job. It may mean that when you leave here today, you're going to go outside with your puppy dogs and go for a walk. But what would it mean to make this day meaningful to you? That's self-love. That's self-love. So what do we do about this? Because when I'm by myself in my home and I've closed the door, I have all kinds of stories that go into my brain. Anybody else do that? Of why I'm all by myself and why nobody else likes me and what's going on with me. And I can just tell that story infinitum. Infinitum. And then sometimes when I scoochie my toe out and think, I can go be with these people, guess what? If I've been stuck in that story, guess what kinds of people that come and want to sit and talk to me? Same kind of people that don't have any friends either and want to be isolated. And so we just all sit around and drink and talk about how sad it is to not have any friends and not have anybody that wants to be with us. That sounds fun, doesn't it? Tell a different story. And some of us are going to have to be creative and create a new story. So that if I isolate, I've got a new story I can tell and I can step back into another group of people. Invite somebody. I've had people that have called me or come to see me and go, nobody ever asked me to go eat. I'm like, you have a phone? Yeah. Call somebody. They're like, okay, I will. I said, no, call somebody right this minute. They're like, oh, no, call somebody right now. Who you want to go eat with? Oh, well, I call somebody right now. Don't sit and feel sorry for yourself. Call a friend. Call somebody. Because the deal is, that's the first step. Out of isolation. Call somebody. Being self-absorbed. We have the best tool that I have ever been able to find from anybody, anywhere, about being self-absorbed, about being caught up in my brain and not being able to get out. We've done it today. So I want you to do it one more time with me before we end this service. Because I know that we've talked about a whole lot of stuff and about how to be compassionate to yourself. And there's probably things that are in your mind and you're going, oh, I want to try this and I want to try that and I don't want to try that and I didn't even want to hear that. I wish you hadn't talked about that. So whatever all of that is, some of you think that I don't know that, but I see some of you sitting there going, remember, I was a behavioral psychologist. I watch people's bodies all the time. You don't have to tell me a word. I just watch and go, wow, that's interesting. So the first thing we're going to do is blow it out. Okay? Anything that you've got inside here that's stirring up, because the bottom line is, you can write that down on a piece of paper and you can think about it this afternoon or tomorrow. But let's practice being in this moment. Right now, not being so self-absorbed, not being so swirling up in our own heads, but just be in this moment now. So breathe out. Put your left hand on your heart, your right hand on your belly, with your thumb in your belly button. That was where you were connected to your mother. And just begin breathing. May you be peace. May you be love. May you be well. May you be happy. Namaste.
This is an oldie but a goodie, so sing along with us. Time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping into the future. Time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping into the future. Fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let my spirit carry me. Fly like an eagle till I'm free. All through this revolution. Hey, hey. Feed the babies, no shoes upon their feet. House the people with no shoes upon their feet. And the people living in the street. Oh, there's a solution. I want to fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let my spirit carry me. Fly like an eagle until I'm free.
people caught a groove in their church service this morning, but we sure did. As we get ready to do our offering affirmation, I just want to let you know that the flooring for the upstairs room, remember back before Christmas we were talking about getting flooring for the upstairs room and redoing some of that space up there. The flooring has been purchased. Dave and Valerie picked it up yesterday, and the youth are doing part of their service to carry it up there.
Done.
We're done. It's done. Way to go, guys. Better your back than mine. I tell you what, though, we still need some underflooring and we still need some molding around the side, so there's still an opportunity. If you feel so led, we could use about $500 more for this project. If you want to provide part of that above and beyond your normal giving, we still have to do all the other stuff, but be sure to just specify for building maintenance, all right, and put that in with your tithe and offering as well. If you'll take your gift in your hand and say the offering blessing with me, please. I express gratitude for all the good in my life. Each day brings wonderful surprises of abundance. Let's stand and sing this for Orlando. The time is now, our purpose is clear, our message of hope can help those in fear. In a world where hearts are broken, the language of love must be spoken. United
in this moment, knowing that we do choose peace. And so again, we see that peace and that love filling ourselves up first, and then flowing out to Orlando and to any other place on this planet that is in the desperate need of peace and love and well-being in this moment. Because we know as we send our love, it comes back to us. It comes back to us heaped up, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, for that's the law, and so it is. Amen.
We start a lot of our services talking about authentic transformation, and I want to tell you that today I have been transformed. And I hope that you have as well. Let's stand and sing together to close the service.